But we move on. We move on to a dark and dreary,
humid place.
Yes.
We move on to Shizuoka.
Yeah. Jeez, tough place to go.
Yeah. It did
Japan 19, Ireland 12. Damn, son. Who saw that coming? I guess the Japanese for a start.
Well, the Japanese saw it coming from around 4 years ago, or 2 years ago when the draw was made.
I mean, this, first and foremost, before you say anything else, this was a coaching masterclass.
Yeah.
From every aspect of coaching, from Jamie Joseph and his team and Tony Brown and those guys. Just in terms of, from every aspect, you couldn't get it right. In terms of getting the players to buy into a plan, educating the players on what they need to do and getting them to believe in it. I mean, that Japanese team had the picture of what it's like to beat Ireland drilled into them, you would imagine, for 2 years or for as long as they've been training with the Sunwolves. This is what it takes to beat Ireland. This is what it's going to look like when we're beating Ireland. And so they were a little rattled, but not truly phased when they went, whatever it was, 12-0, 12-3 down. But they knew, as soon as they started getting plays off in that first half, they knew exactly how this was going to go. They had a very simple plan, that sounds simple but is very complicated and has loads of intricacies to it. Which is essentially just stop Ireland's pack. Stop Ireland's pack on both sides of the ball, but especially when they have the ball. So the tackling technique was low, the line speed was sharp when it needed to be. There were loads of subtle plays from the back five, essentially, in the contact zone.
Those locks were awesome.
The locks beating the Irish locks, which is not a picture I saw coming. James Ryan and Ian Henderson, a partnership we were very excited about. Rob Thompson and James Moore shutting those guys down big time
and getting big plays off themselves.
So it was a combination of this very sharp shoot when we need to, knowing exactly who was going to carry. There wasn't a whole lot of variation in terms of Ireland's offensive, the first up hit up plays, but it's a tough one for Ireland because everything that they do off offense comes from generating that quick ball from the forwards, and Japan knew that if you don't give that to them, they're going to be rattled and they're not going to have many different places to go to. The other thing that I loved is that Ireland, like when they have to lean on something, their scrum is a helpful place for them to go. And Japan, I'm not sure, not many people have picked up on this, but the drive-by shooting that went on at the scrum was just sublime. They spent the whole week talking about Cian Healy this and Cian Healy that, and Cian Healy's illegal, and ref, look at this thing that Cian Healy does. And it was just, it was squirrel, look at Cian Healy. If you look at the overhead shot of the scrums, that crucial scrum penalty that they got, but also basically every scrum, the Japanese, they were never square. They were like Angus Gardner, God bless him, he's a great ref, but he doesn't really know scrums.
No, he doesn't.
And the referee has to get a scrum square before it starts. But what the Japanese were doing was essentially every single one of the 8 were taking a step to the left. Or a step, to the right. To the left. To their left. Yes, and
to overload Tig. Yes, and take Cian out of the scrum.
It essentially took Cian out of the scrum. He didn't know what to do. The tight head was so far in that he was having to turn his body to get in on the scrum, and it overloaded the weight of their loose head and their hooker onto
Plus
Tig
those
Furlong.
locks behind them.
Plus those locks behind them onto Tig Furlong. And Tig Furlong, one of the great tight heads in the world, never in his life has he been bullied like he was bullied by the Japanese. I mean, they just absolutely had a plan. They have the skills to execute it and they have the physicality to execute it, but this was as sharp a coaching plan as you're going to see.
It paid dividends at one point
Cup.
in the first half when I think that Ireland had conceded one of the sequence of penalties that cost them, but then they did manage to get themselves out into Japanese territory, had an attacking scrum just outside the 22, and that's where it really paid dividends. They got shredded for a Japanese penalty, and that rocked the whole pack.
The footage from that scrum, I was rewatching the game and I paused that bit and I think you were watching with me, and I rewinded it just to rewatch that scrum and how it unfolded and all the different elements, like the Renaissance painting of a picture that it was that was like a microcosm of the game. They had done exactly that, shifted to the left.
Cian Healy was frustrated because he felt like the scrum was illegal. Tig was blown away.
Tig was blown away. He turned to the ref in hopes of getting a penalty call, and then saw that the ref had given the penalty to Japan and sort of flailed about it in despair. And then the Japanese were just the front row were so pumped up, and then all the backs sort of converged on them and were jumping up and down.
CJ was in the middle of that because he thought we were somehow winning the scrum and kept it going forward as well. He got up confused with the ball, didn't know what was going on. There was all kinds of bad pictures in that little one scene.
Ireland had the lead, but it was so telling. And what was great was the belief that the Japanese had, because they knew exactly what the picture for them winning the game was. So they weren't worried about the scoreline. They knew they were winning the moments.
Yeah, and they were. They kept doing it.
Yeah,
and like Ireland, to switch perspectives, like it is important to give Japan their due, and they deserve it. And it was a really well fought, well thought.
I wouldn't pass them yet. The backline we haven't touched on. They were unreal. I mean, Tomorrow was much better than he had been.
Defensive tackers were awesome.
Some of
his exits,
exit play from his own in goal was incredible. But also their key man Lafayette at 13, head and shoulders the best centre on the pitch. I mean, Gary Wingrose had a good game, but no, this guy is really, really good, and his capacity to open up defences. The 13 channel is so important.
For a team like Japan, especially as well, with
getting to that outside is so crucial, and he just has a way of doing it, of picking the right pass regardless of circumstance. He can get that offload away, and he made mugs of the Irish defence on numerous occasions, and was a crucial element. And then Kenki Fukuoka coming on and making what an impact.
Hit. We were always wary of him. We were wary of him in the PNC, and by God, he came good for them off the bench to come and solve the problem. And he another pretty close to what they did to the Springboks in terms of that end-to-end. It was off one phase that they managed to work it to the left and get through. There were a few clever even moments in that. They hit up and took Gary Ringrose and Chris Farrell out of it with the first carry before isolating. Farrell's shot randomly and gave a terrible penalty advantage away and was nowhere near his wing, and they isolated that. It was just very clever. Everything they did was far cleverer than Ireland, which is it's a shame to say, because in the Six Nations it feels like when Ireland are on the top of their game, they're probably close to the cleverest side in that competition. Wales will give them a run for their money every now and then, but
especially this aged Alan Wynne Jones running.
Just as far as it's an intangible, but nous and savvy on the field, and all those little micro moments in and around breakdowns that really do contribute. It was Japan bossing them, and Japan are a serious contender for that. They've always been a very clever team, even in their other performances. Like the way they scrummage, for not being as physically dominant, but it's always technical, and you can see that throughout the PNC in most of their games. The question is just how good they are. We don't fully know. Is this the shambolic, horrendous performance that most of the Irish media would have you think of it from Ireland, or is this an absolute masterclass?
I think this is an absolute masterclass. I think Ireland did. We'll touch on Ireland now. We'll talk about Ireland now in a moment. This is a bad performance from Ireland, but it is a coaching masterclass. But that doesn't answer the question how good Japan are, because it's always one thing as a lesser side to do a coaching masterclass like this, drill into your players how to win this game, essentially the blueprint, and maybe they have one for Scotland too, but it's a whole other kettle of fish to just play the All Blacks. So they could be blown away, or the Springboks. They could be blown away in a quarter final, but that won't mean that they were rubbish in this game. They were targeting this game, and that's very, very different, especially for a side that's as detailed and well coached as Japan. They had loads of little plays in them, as you say, the little dirty plays here and there. They
were taking some of our guys out beyond the ruck, very frustrating all of our guys, who were then trying to do the same back, but doing so not subtly at all. As I said, the wrong side of the penalty count, but it was before that. We were trying to chase the game, reactionary rather than proactive stuff from Ireland throughout. Whereas
Jimeno at 6 was unbelievable.
He was awesome.
He got man of the match, and he produced some serious plays, not least of which that massive turnover when Ireland were really trying to get back into the game late in the game, and it was really Ireland's one big effort to get a try on the board and get right back in it.
Came to naught
because of a big jackal, and they never got close again. So that was awesome from Japan.
And just fair play to them. Congrats.
From Ireland's congrats. From Ireland's perspective, it sucks to be outcoached like that, to be outthought. It's definitely not a good feeling.
Nope.
You always have a lot of faith in your coaches and these guys. And Joe, there's no question Joe thought about this game, but I don't think he considered the degree to which Japan were going to do a job on his team. They weren't just going to play like Japan, they were going to do a job on your team. There were a few things that should have happened in terms of taking them seriously that didn't happen, one of which would be Lafayette. We talk about the way that the French and certain teams talk about Johnny Sexton,
just put him on the deck.
The guy runs their offense. Lafayette runs the Japanese offense from 13. every time he touched the ball, he should have been hit.
Yeah,
and that's
regardless of whether the ball left his hands or not. And there were a few chances in the first half. I remember Chris Farrell kind of bouncing off.
Yeah, Chris Farrell trying to drift off him and trying to work the drift in to shut out their wingers. I'd sooner
see him smash his rib cage.
Yeah, you got to rough that guy up. You got to rough these guys up. They're like the Box did. They're little men at the end of the day, and they're very, very good rugby players. But you got to make them hurt.
Yeah,
and hurting guys slows them down like nothing else.
Yeah.
And we needed to slow them down.
We did.
The other thing would be bombs, contestable kicks.
Yeah, I can't. We did a few. We kicked maybe 4 throughout, and they were peppered throughout the course. There were probably one per quarter, but it was like all of them were successful. I can't understand why we weren't reverting to them, because it is also, from Ireland's perspective, it's reverting to type. Like we are a bomb oriented team. We do have fielders all over the team in the back line and some good ones in the pack as well. Like, we should be kicking the ball.
Yeah, and Japan are struggling with them.
They are. Japan, that's one of the weak the chinks. There's actually Russia on day one isolated a few of them, and in the first quarter, Ireland isolated as well. The bombs and the cross-field kick, the way they defend, leaves a window for for an accurate flat kick to the wing to just access the wide channels early. We did a few of them early on. Jack Carty is prone to some of that. He's got a good boot on him. But yeah, the lack of skyward balls was a bit not disconcerting, because I couldn't make sense of it. I couldn't make sense of what we were trying to do a lot of the time.
But the fact that nobody isolated that this was the thing that was working, and that we shouldn't go back to it. Like, a simple thing, like even at the end of the game, you would have liked to see maybe a box kick exit and someone chase after it.
Yeah.
But they were so petrified of Japan taking their bonus point that they just kicked it off the pitch. Yeah. I mean, they were well beaten.
They were well beaten. To be fair, I didn't fully object to that. We did hear some of the Aussie commentary on it, thinking that he didn't know the hooter had gone or that the gong had gone. Yeah. I suspect that he did know exactly what he was doing and figured that we could keep hammering at that for the next 20 minutes, and all that would have happened was we'd concede more. No, we were well beaten and absolutely done by the end. Like with the back line in such a hodgepodge state. When as soon as Chris Farrell went off, there was no one running directly off 10, so it was all off 9, and then Rob Kearney went off sooner after, and he had a great game in a losing performance, similar to his Twickenham performance, which was actually pretty good as well, while everything around him was failing.
No, Rob was great.
He picked up a shiner from Matsushima in contact and had to go off. And then ending with Luke McGrath on the wing and Larmer in centre and just no one running. It wasn't even running lines, just no one running.
Exactly. The conditions are huge. The conditions definitely play on Ireland. A lot of these northern teams.
We saw Scotland. We saw Barkley getting sick halfway through the Ireland game. The first week, we saw a period in that Wales Australia game, which we'll get onto now, where Wales were absent for
starting
20
to look
minutes.
Like this weather is going to have to cool down a bit if a northern team is going to win.
Yeah, it is starting.
If a European team is going to win, maybe not France, but they have their own issues that'll stop them anyway.
Yes.
But if a northern team is going to win the competition, the weather's going to have to cool down by about at least 6 degrees or so.
Probably true. Just looking at Shizuoka seems like an absolute cauldron anyway in more ways than one.
Full of humidity. Great crowd at it too. The Japanese energy just stole the show.
Yes, it did. It was definitely a Japanese day. We had an Ireland day on week 1, but this was a Japanese day.
Yeah,
and just to go in with that bomb kind of talk, a man who would have provided that is Johnny Sexton. Yeah. Which, if you're talking about taking your opposition seriously, like Johnny Sexton, it's no secret he really runs the offense from Ireland, particularly in the middle of the field. He navigates how we exit a lot of the time, even if it's to be a Conor Murray box kick. A lot of that is dictated by Sexton. His presence on the field would have been huge, and there would have been a huge number of bombs.
He is the last best hope for Ireland to really do well in the World Cup. I mean, they look beatable. You know, they have a good team, but they look beatable.
They do.
And Japan displaying that by beating them.
Yeah.
But they like sides vaguely know what they need to do to beat them. The one weapon left in the arsenal that can still go very right for Ireland is Sexton running the show.
Yeah.
And Sexton is an elite player, and a very elite player on his day.
Yes.
If Sexton shows up and he isn't sharp for any of these games, I think you can stick a fork in Ireland as far as winning the competition is concerned. It just doesn't look like it's happening elsewhere. Sides can't stop the forward carries and everything else. They need Sexton running it.
Aren't that creative. We tried a few more offloads, but it was just disheartening to see the skill level isn't up to scratch because we haven't been doing it.
Massive skill deficiency as compared to Japan, for example, and tougher challenges to come. So that was obviously a bad one. And then just the coaching ticket. I mean, I'll just round up with like a little 5 notes that I've done on just how badly done the Ireland coaching ticket have been on terms of this game, but also maybe going forward. Like there's the fail to adopt the bomb kicking strategy, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
There's the failing to implement an attacking shape or structure that can cope in any way with your tight five not winning its battle.
Yeah.
So if Ireland's tight five aren't winning their contacts, their backline can do nothing.
Yeah.
Their attack can do nothing.
Yeah.
And
apart from kicking in the air.
And even that,
back to point one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
so there was that. They got completely done at scrum time. Obviously, this is just a generic point about just how caught they got, just how shocked they were by all of Japan's Ireland beating tactics.
Yes, which played out perfectly.
Yeah, there was another one. Tig Furlong went off for a HIA decision, and Tig had been bullied all day. I mean, he went off to feel sorry for himself. And Andrew Porter came on and had a few positive plays.
Yeah, he was pretty decent.
Then they brought Tig back on after he passed his HIA.
For a defensive line out in the 22 that he had a chance to steal, that he was too laboured and tired to get his hands on the ball.
He dropped the pill, and then Japan went on to score their try, and then he left the field again. And that's just not understanding and isolating that Tig was in real trouble.
Yeah,
he was.
And whereas Porter and Kilcoyne, to be fair to them, had solved some of our scrum woes,
they had been better
on,
and
were impacting in the least. Kilcoyne himself was putting his body around, and Porter obviously as well as a danger man. Yeah, that was a very baffling call.
And then the Lafayette point as well. But we have to go back and just give massive congratulations to Japan, because
it's another World Cup win. As someone was saying, was it slaying green giants is in their history. Sure, you have Godzilla, Springboks, now Ireland.
Totally. I mean, guys, we haven't even shouted out obviously the whole front row. Luke Thompson and James Moore were unreal. The whole back row, Jimeno, Labuschagne at 7 was awesome. Nagare at scrum half was really quick and really sharp.
Moved us around.
The whole back line were just super skilled. The highlights of which obviously were Lafayette.
Yes, it was good to see. Not good to see from an Irish perspective, but Tamora recovered some of his more assured cam. Even after missing that first kick, which could have rocked him, didn't at all. There was a quality performance from start to finish from all of them really, and actually even who was their substitute. Loosehead came off the bench and made so many impacts. He was awesome. He was an absolute thorn in Ireland, in everything Ireland was trying to do right in their side.
Nakajima
awesome had an awesome impact too. The tip of our hat to Japan. Obviously bitterly disappointing, as we might say. Normally words reserved for Ulster, but this time it's Ireland, and but we will roll on. It's not over yet. We still have a bit of fight.
No, it's not over yet. They have
and best of luck to Japan. And good luck to the Scots. Our Scottish subs are probably in a squeaky bum time kind of thing, because Japan look good.
Japan did look
and
good.
At home as well, their crowds are awesome, and on their back are with them throughout. And I'm delighted for them while sickened for us.
Yeah,
but couldn't have happened to a nicer team, because I love watching Japan play rugby.
Totally. Thanks so much for tuning into the Overlap Rugby Podcast's World Cup content. If you enjoyed that video, please feel free to subscribe and comment down below, as well as share with your friends. Thanks.